Hey everybody, welcome back to Shark Scrapper. It's a silver kind of day. We're going to be removing the silver buttons from this switch that we got out of a box that is used to calibrate the meters, the electric meters on your house. Hey everybody, I am Shark Scrapper. I've been scrapping for a lot of years and decided it's time to start sharing with this great scrapping community. Now remember, you're always going to get more value if you can sell something in working or functional condition. Scrapping is sort of a last resort, how to keep things out of the trash, or in some of my videos, it's a way to educate and show people what's inside of things. All of the products that I come up with get sent to reputable recycling yards, and I may do some processing on my own in later videos. I hope you like what we're doing here. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Hit the bell so you don't miss a single episode, and please share it with all your friends so we can have some great conversations. So today we are working on some relay switches that we pulled out of a device that was a meter calibration device. It was for electrical meters. Now, what's interesting about this is that it's carried a lot of current, and it had a number of these relay switches in there. You will see as we take it apart that there is some copper here, but what's really interesting are the silver contacts. So we're going to go after those as the primary target of this scrap. And of course we have some insulated copper wire, steel, that'll go in with transformers. That's just copper wire there. And then each of these little plug-ins is brass. And I have a large number of them all built up in here. From the scrapping out this device. So we're going to get to work on this and see how this plays out. So first thing I want to do is get all these screws off of here. Of course, nice neodymium magnet, steel. So those go in the steel bucket. Now what I do for collecting steel is I keep just old cans, metal cans from soup or vegetables or beans or whatever, and when I fill them up with screws and such, and then when they're all filled up, if I have the lid for them, I can take the lid and just put the lid over it and use some duct tape to seal it up real well. If I don't have a lid, I just use some duct tape and put some duct tape over the top of it. It's kind of a neat little trick. I've got a couple of them. So you can see that's all just nice and sealed up. And then when I take a load of scrap steel in, as I'm loading up the truck, I'll just throw those things inside of the case of an old computer or whatever steel frame I happen to have that's going in, and they all just get chucked in and go into the scrap steel bin. So it's a nice way to add a little bit of weight, but it's also good because we're continuing to recycle as much as we can, and that's our goal here. Recycle as much as we can. Try to avoid throwing away stuff that can get reused. So these are brass, and get the steel screws out of the way, and we'll take the Dremel, put on the safety goggles, Hopefully you can see the brass coming through there. You can see that's just coated brass, and you can see it's non-magnetic. Excuse me. All right, so those guys are out of the way. Now we snip off the insulated copper wire, and that goes in the bucket that I have in standby underneath the bench. I try to keep buckets for the common stuff easily available right here at the workbench, and then other things that I'm stockpiling or collecting but don't run into a lot, they go into some of the other storage devices that I have around the workshop. And someday we'll go for a walk around the workshop. Now these springs come off, and that allows this piece to come off very easily. And we check the springs, magnetic, and steel bin. So now you can have a little clearer view of the silver tabs there. Now these can be a little bit of a pain to get out. So I just take some big grips and I grab hold of one end, and we just peel it back. And of course that won't work because I'm on camera. Go. There's one off nice and clean, and you can see the little silver cap there. Just put a little grind on it and you can see it's still silver, it's not brass down there. So that's just nice silver. And then what I do is I'll cut off the end, long set of angle cutters. So we'll cut off the end of this, and that will go in, I call it my tactile switches, but it's anything that's got the little silver button on it. And then these are just brass. You can see the brass edge there. So those are just brass. Here we got more silver, and then we've got this nice copper coating here. Now I've tried busting this thing open on some of the previous ones, and it really doesn't want to play very nice. So what I've started doing now is I just cut those silver buttons off. So once the silver buttons are cut off, then I just take my, I'm going to use the smaller ones here so I can get in a little bit tighter on that. Then I just give it a twist, and the copper pieces pop off. Some of it gets left behind that can't be helped. Again, I could bust this part open here. This is just weld here. A little bit of copper. That's steel. See, that's steel. Oh! So that'll just go into the bucket of larger steel things. These silver buttons will go into the jar marked tactile switches, and this copper will go into the bin for my number 2 copper, because that's pretty thin. That's not going to be anything more than number 2, at least with my yard. And the copper bin is one that's over on another drawer. Easy enough to get to when I want to throw stuff in it, but because it's kind of big, I keep it out of the way, just so it's not right on top of me. Alright, so let's go ahead and pop off a couple more of these. Once you kind of get going, it's a little bit easier to get them to just pop right off. Get in the groove of it. And then see if this guy wants to come off. Yeah. Alright, so that little bit of brass that's left behind will just stay with this chunk. So now we've got this transformer looking thing, and look at that, there's some screws right there. So they don't want to play right now. Yep, wrong screwdriver. Yeah, they don't want to play. I don't think this is going to work either. Yeah. Alright, so because that doesn't want to play, that's just going to go in with the transformer bracket. And fortunately my scrapyard is just interested in what is in there, so I'll take, before I go in for that run, I'll scrape off the coating here, and then they grade this as either copper or aluminum, or copper aluminum, depending upon what's in the wrapping. So we'll do that one when we get the transformers in. So we got our brass over here, and we take our cutters, and we just give it a little twist. Oops, and the button comes off. And we've got the brass. We'll use the other silver contacts. So that turned out to be a really good find. Alright, so now we've got all this brass. And you can see the on the edge, you can see the brass. Here, let's go ahead and shine one up for you. Let's see the end of it. The sparks were because I hit the pliers, not because of the of this thing. So there you can see the yellow coming through. That's brass. And then I keep my brass in a drawer, and someday we will do the tour of the workshop, and I'll show you the drawer where the brass is kept. But for now, we'll just sort of pop it over here, and let's go ahead and take another one of these apart. Let's see if these screws will come off of this one. Oh, look at that. That one turned out all right.